Hey, welcome to After the Credits. Today, we're not going to be having an episode, we're going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be giving out my top 5 favorite movies. Now, these aren't like the top 5 movies that I think are the greatest movies of all time or whatever. These are just the 5 movies that I personally enjoy more than any other movie that's currently out or has ever been out. So, I hope you enjoy them too. And if you don't, we all have opinions, but you know, this is the internet, so somebody's wrong. Pan's Labyrinth, directed by Guillermo del Toro, is set to a backdrop of the Spanish Civil War, and it's, I can best describe it as like Alice in Wonderland for the mature audience. It explored a lot of deep themes like life, death, and war, all from the point of view of a child protagonist. So it was really deeply emotionally riveting, and the whole movie's in Spanish, which didn't bother me for a second. One, because I had subtitles, and two, because the characters convey their lines and portray themselves in such a way that what they're saying transcends language. You can understand them even without any subtitles. It's really amazing to just see this fantastic journey. It goes in a lot of dark places that fantasy movies typically don't like going, and especially it toys with the innocence of a kid. It's really great, very deeply emotionally riveting, and if you haven't seen it, you should, because it is Del Toro's, well, it's arguably Del Toro's greatest movie. 50-50. Now, it's kind of weird, you know, I pick a Seth Rogen comedy over, you know, Pan's Labyrinth, which is widely considered one of the best movies of all time. But 50-50 is just a movie I thoroughly enjoy. I saw this in theaters and I really fell in love with it. It's a comedy with a really offbeat topic. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a guy with cancer, and immediately when cancer gets in it, you think nothing should be funny. But somehow it manages to be hilarious and surprisingly heartfelt. It hits this immaculate balance between drama and comedy that I haven't really seen in a lot of movies. It's never too serious that it feels like a huge drama, and it's never too dramatic that it never feels like a comedy. It manages to hit them both really well. And everybody's great in this movie too. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a fantastic actor. Seth Rogen is amazing support. Anna Kendrick is really great too. She's great in a lot of things. I have to say that for my producer. Anyway, it's just an amazing film, and it's a comedy unlike any other. And also, it's based on a true story, which is kind of fucked up, but also pretty awesome too. So, go out and see this. It's probably if not my favorite, it is one of my favorite comedies of all time. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Now, James Cameron can go to his grave knowing he directed 2 of the best sequels of all time. The other one being Aliens, which didn't make this list, but if it was like a top 20, it would be on there. Terminator 2 is... it's so great, it makes you forget the first one, really. It's not necessary to watch the first Terminator because the second one does such a great job of recapping everything, creating a dynamic story that makes it so you don't need to see the first one. Seeing the first one really adds to it, but the second one is great enough to stand on its own. And you don't see that with a lot of sequels. It's really great. This is my favorite Schwarzenegger film of all time, and everyone is great in this too. Robert Patrick is especially great as like the smooth, slick, you know, no pun intended, T-1000. The action scenes are really great, but there's never too many that it takes away from the story, because this movie actually has a fucking story. Remember when action movies had stories? Yeah. Die Hard? Yeah. Anyway, the action scenes are really great. The special effects are also amazing. Explosions were done with real explosions, so they look authentic. The Liquid Terminator effects look pretty good, mostly because they weren't computer generated for most of the part. Even the computer generated effects are still solid. Like, yeah, there are movies that look better than this one, but movies come out nowadays that still look worse than this. So that's really a testament to how well this was done. Honestly, it's just great. If you've never been into the Terminator series, I could say this is the jump-in point, because like I said, it overshadows the first one so much. Which is a shame, because the first one's actually pretty good, but if you had to choose, watch the second one. Up. This is by far my favorite Pixar film of all time, and it's arguably my favorite animated film of all time. This is another movie I saw in theaters, and I cried. 5 minutes into the movie, It got me to cry like a big dumb homo. I'm kidding. 30 Rock reference for all you Tina Fey aficionados. Anyway, it's a really amazing story about Carl and Russell, an old man and a Boy Scout, go on a journey. I don't want to get too into stories in this video, but they go on a fantastic journey to South America, and the whole message behind the movie is just so heartfelt. It's about how the adventure is never truly over, no matter how old or how young you are. You can always go out and just experience something new. It is an incredible film. The best things about it are the characters and the pacing. It understands everything so well. The characters are very dynamic and they don't end up in the same places when they started off, as a lot of movies tend to do. It's really great. You see this transformation go between everyone, and it's so smooth and natural. And it almost feels like a live movie too, because these characters in a sense are alive in just how well they're voiced and how well everything looks. Seriously, if you haven't seen this movie, you should, because it redefines what an animated movie should be. Now, if you've read my blog, you already know what my favorite movie of all time is, but if you haven't, here it is. Fight Club. Made in 1999, directed by David Fincher, starring Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, and Helena Bonham Carter. It is my all-time favorite movie. Like, I'm serious, I'm gonna gush about this movie. It's amazing. It works on so many technical levels. The sound editing is fantastic. Visually, it's very interesting because it shows like a darker, more somber side of society that we don't get to see. The writing is fantastic. The actors deliver their lines so perfectly. This is a movie where I can't see it being with any other cast, especially when you read that this wasn't the original cast they had in mind. It's insane, really. It's so good. Like, wow, I'm at a loss for words. That's what it comes to when it's this movie. This was the kind of movie where at the end of it, I just sat in my seat watching the credits roll, and I was like, damn, that was a great movie. It hits you on so many levels, especially if you've always felt like that kind of person who, like, society is constantly working against you. Like, the message in the movie is just, hey, you don't need all these things to be successful, and if you're angry, there's ways to let this kind of aggression out. Maybe underground boxing clubs isn't the way to do it, but the point is, it just tells you to reject society's notions of what is a normal life and what is a normal person. And it really hits you on a personal level, you know, until all the fucking terrorist shit goes on. But it's also incredibly funny and dramatic too. It's another one of those movies that strikes a real nice balance. I would say it's more of a comedy though, because there are more times I laugh than there are times I'm just in awe. And that's okay. It's really funny and offbeat. And okay, it's not a movie, it's an experience. Whether you like this movie or not, there are a lot of people who don't, which is okay, it's got a cult following. But whether you like it or not, it's an experience. You will never watch another movie like this. And that's how I define what a great movie is. You should see this movie if you haven't. And if you don't like it, that's okay. It's not for everybody, but it is the perfect movie for me. And I love it unabashedly. Well, those are my 5 favorite movies of all time. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you enjoy those movies too, because they're all really great in their own sense. And at the time of filming this, it's my birthday, so, you know, if you want to send me some shit, we'll put a place where you can do that. Maybe. Probably not, because creepy people go on the internet too. Bye.
Now for my top favorite 5. My top favorite 5 movies. Pitch Perfect starring Anna Kendrick and Rebel Wilson. Number 4. Pitch Perfect starring Anna Kendrick and Rebel Wilson. Number 3. Pitch Perfect starring Anna Kendrick and Rebel Wilson. Number 2. The Mummy. Number 1. Pitch Perfect starring Anna Kendrick and Rebel Wilson.